Okay, good afternoon or good morning, whenever you are listening to this, or even good evening or good night, whatever. So, yeah, the purpose of this is to demonstrate PatSnap's tools in helping you to find new leads and also to fish for new insights as well. So firstly, we're going to start off with analytics, then we're going to go into discovery. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I can integrate some of the hooks and insights I find using both analytics and discovery to integrate this into my conversations, my dialogue that I have with my prospects, either over LinkedIn messages, emails, or over the phone, even that may be through scheduled calls or through cold calls as well. So to start off, what we're going to do is we're going to look at analytics. So we're going to search by IPC code and CPC code. We're going to refine by jurisdiction and application date. Then we're going to look for companies that have recently filed patents. If you're working with enterprise companies, you know, it's not surprising. It's often predictable what companies will come up in particular technology areas. So if you search for an IPC code or CPC code and look at the automotive industry and you refine by Germany, it's not surprising that you'll probably see a lot of like Audi, Volkswagen come up, because obviously they're German companies, large German companies operating in the automotive space. So they're going to file a lot of patents. So let's jump into the analytics platform. Okay. So let's just go back, PatSnap. And let's go into advanced. So when you see advanced, you can see I've selected 6 out of 126 jurisdictions. This is because I've refined by my territory that I operate in. So I work in the UK and Ireland and Nordic territories. So I've selected Denmark, Great Britain, Ireland, Norway, and Sweden. I mentioned Finland, yes, and Finland, yeah, of course. So I'm actually refining by CPC code, but if you're curious to understand the difference between CPC and IPC code, CPC is what I understand is the more updated version, and was developed jointly by the USPTO, so the US Patent Office, and the European Patent Office as well. So I've actually, you can actually use keyword helpers in both the CPC and IPC to help you find what are the IPC codes relating to the technology area you're interested in. So I work within the technology and transport sectors. And so I'm interested in renewable technology. So I typed in photovoltaic, and what we can see is proportion of electronically propelled vehicles, so EV vehicles, basically, methods of charging batteries, and looking at kinetic, natural kinetic energy that can be converted into electricity. So we can see here that, these IPC codes I've selected relate to the ones here, and I've just selected these ones previously because I just wanted to make this presentation seamless as possible. So what we're going to do is we're just going to search. I haven't actually refined by application date, as I said in the presentation, but that's something you can do as well. Many different ways of refining. So on the left-hand side here, we can see the top assignees in these technology areas based within these patent jurisdictions. So it's no surprise to see the likes of General Electric, Vestas Wind Systems, Siemens, Siemens Gamesa, Jaguar Land Rover, you know, big companies, highly innovative companies that work in these kind of technology spaces. So this is not surprising at all. We can also look at something I look is application year. So trying to understand, you know, what's the general trend within this technology space. So we can see that within this electric vehicle charging systems, propulsion systems that use renewable energy, such as kinetic energy from wind and hydro, we can see that the innovation rate really peaked in 2011 and has been slowly decreasing since then. Obviously, the last 18 months, we're seeing a lag in patent data, which takes about 18 months, as I said. But yeah, we can see maybe that the innovation rate was maturing then, and now we're really getting down to the commercialization stage of this technology. So really starting to mature into commercialization right now. Okay. So we can look here and we can look at all these different bits of information that come across. Some families. These are the ones I select. These are the ones I generally think are the most important. The title of the patent, the legal status, are they granted, withdrawn, and expiry date, application date, patent value, who's the inventor, cited by and cited count. Okay. So yeah, here's the big companies, but sometimes you want to be looking at startups or smaller companies. We can look at, let's try this one because I don't recognize this name. Devon SRO. Right, okay, so Devon SRO have 2 patents in their portfolio. First filed in 2019 and then another one filed in Denmark in 2021. Can translate this so we can understand what we're looking at here. Perfect, so we're looking at electronic charging systems. So what we want to do when we come across this company that we're not familiar with the name, we want to check, are they in Salesforce? Doesn't look like it. I can't see the company name. No, it doesn't seem like a so maybe let's just have a look. Okay, here they are on LinkedIn or Sales Now to be specific. And there's no CRM link, so that suggests we haven't spoken to these guys in the past. Something I like to do is just validate the company or understand a bit more about the company. This is a good hook I use is, are they growing? So 2-year grew 17%. So that's quite a lot of growth over a 2-year period. 4% down over the last year. That's probably because of COVID. And 6-month growth is probably a rebound of growth COVID that we're seeing. So probably they, had to let a few people go initially, and now they're starting to rebound a little bit. Maybe it's a good idea to understand a little bit about who are the kind of people that work at Devon. So head of development, maybe this guy's interesting. Yeah, so focus on hydrogen technology in addition to H2P. So interesting. So he's an electrical engineer, this guy. Right. It's being a little bit funny, but you in your own time, just look at the company's employees. How do they have an R&D team? Do they have an IP team? They have a large R&D team. That probably suggests that R&D is probably important to them. And then validate this against the size of their patent portfolio. Starting to grow out that patent portfolio over the last year or 2. So maybe PatSnap can support them in scaling up. So we can put this page into English. Yeah, that's. Okay, who we are. We are experts in product development in the automotive industry. We particularly enjoy working on electric mobility, racing cars, automotive lighting, electronic components in vehicles. We create sophisticated innovations in all stages from pre-development, prototype, manufacturing. Above all, we also perform automotive electronic testing. Brilliant, great. This seems like an innovative company focused in technology in the automotive industry. So Devon's story started in 2013, so pretty much a startup. When Lubos Hatchkey sold his shares in a tier 1 automotive manufacturing company. Tier 1 is a company that serves the OEMs directly. So they sell all their goods to the OEMs. The OEMs, if you're not familiar, are the automotive brands that you see on the streets and on the roads and in car parks. So the BMWs, the Audis, the Jaguar Land Rovers, these are the OEMs, which stands for original equipment manufacturer. Although the tier 1 is really the OEM because they're actually the ones that sell to the OEMs. With the specialized products, basically. 109 employees, 2 patented development solutions, 100 development projects ongoing. Or been done or something, it's not clear there. So yeah, we see development engineers, development specialists, project managers, brilliant. So yeah, so this looks like a fairly innovative company that we should definitely reach out to. Perfect. So when you're also looking at these startups, what you want to be doing is you want to be looking for the named inventors. These are the guys that are going to be the decision makers. They're key people they're people that are key to decision making when it comes to the most advanced research and development, intellectual property decision making. So these guys, Karel Suchek, Lubos Hajski, Oldrich Vizabilo, Radek Kimranan. Yeah, my Czech pronunciations are not the best, but I did remember Lubos Hajski. So we can see Lubos is clearly, as the CEO, clearly highly linked to the research and development. So he probably within a company that's got 109 employees, or with LinkedIn 46 employees, we'd probably want to speak with him or one of his R&D guys around the company. I'm not sure if this is going to work for you now. Okay, so what we could do is we could have a look at is Radek in there. Okay, my sales now is a bit slow, but you know what I mean. Like we can look here, we can see the inventor's name, and we could make a reach out to Radek, or perhaps what's his name down here, Lubos. So then what we would do, after you put these leads into Salesforce, is then you could go on to Outreach and put the leads on. So yeah, once it's been able to load, very slow today. Okay, so what we could do is, once you found Lubos's email address, for instance, I don't know if we can. Lubos, brilliant. So hopefully what we can do is get Lubos's email address, export it onto Salesforce. So just new info. Okay. Okay. Great. So what we can do is yeah. So now we've done that. What we could also do is, looking at this pattern here, what's this? Once we wait for just gonna plug my laptop into charge. Maybe that will speed up the Wi-Fi. Okay, so unfortunately, it's not really playing ball with me. Hello, Lusha, you there? Well, unfortunately, we haven't been able to get his email. But let's say we were able to get his email address and put it into Outreach. We would then go into named inventor and put it into this sequence and say, hey, look, I came across your pattern and I saw that you named inventor, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so another good way of finding leads is going to the agency of the pattern. And this is the law firm that's helped draft, it's helped the patent process, basically, help the prosecution process. So Plowman Vingtoff are a semi-big Danish law firm specializing in IP. They provide some patent consultancy, and they provide some patent consultancy, help around commercialization, strategy, and just supporting the patent process when it comes to litigation. We can say, here we go. So, searching for patents, macro level pattern analysis using the Insights platform can definitely help them. And also even the Discovery platform, if they're really ambitious law firm and they want to start integrating, other data sets within their patent consultancy, because that's a trend that we're seeing really happen within the law firm and just the wider IP consultancy space. Just going to go back onto this. We could perform we could also look at citations as well. So, looking at, has that patent cited any other patents? Who are the patents that it's cited? Maybe you can have a look at this company. Or this patent that cited 8 other patents as part of it. So it's cited, there's 10 citations, and it's been cited by one company called Market Catalyst. I'm going to delete these because we don't need them anymore. Market Catalyst. I haven't heard of this company before either. Close this. Okay, perfect. So we finally got there. So Market Catalyst. Let's see if these guys are on Salesforce. No. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Let's find out more about them. Magic Sobi. So we've got 2 employees. They've been going for at least 2 years. No growth there. Innovation clean tech. Okay, so here we go. Innovation. Our internal R&D team are currently working on a number. Okay. Our services. We offer a channel partner service to select client, which means that we invest our time and our other resources in screen new sales orders on their behalf. So let's just go to innovation and clean tech. Maybe that's our internal R&D team. We're working. So these guys are really heavily involved in a number of R&D projects. So, and they've got a patent that they filed at the very end of last year and finally got published in March this year. So, another good company that we should reach out to and that hasn't spoken to Pat Snap and may not be aware of the work that we can do in supporting them. So, that's another good way using citations and cited by forwards and backwards patent citations to help find new leads or even hooks as well. For instance, if you're a small company and you see Siemens Gamesa is just patented or cited one of your patents, that could be some of interest. And why have they cited it? Landscape. So we could also perform a landscape. So let's just copy this IPC thing that this query we already made and go into the landscapes. Hopefully, Wi-Fi can deal with this. We can add some conditions, maybe publication date. So perhaps 20, let's do something, let's do it recently. So 2021, 3rd of March, and the 1st to 2021, what day is it? January, February, March, April, May, June. So 06/04. So I typed that in twice. Generating results. Let's have a look what we get here. We only see 1,000 patents here. Okay, interesting. General Electric, I've already made 17 patents in that short time space. The first top 4. Have we got any high value patents? Yes, we do. Okay, so it's not particularly, we're only looking at a few number of patents here. A little bit of congestion there, a little bit of congestion here. We can see here that these white tops are where there's more saturated areas of innovation, and where it's not white and it's more beige or green, that suggests that there's less innovation and that patents are less dense. So there could be maybe room for innovation there, or just because there's a gap in the market doesn't mean there's a market in the gap. Peter Jones often famously says. So when you're reaching out to these companies, there's a couple of things that you want to consider, when talking about the value of the conversation. So the bigger companies, the thousands plus, the General Electrics, the Siemens Gamesas, the Siemens, we know that that innovation is so critical for these companies, and they've got an established IP team, and they'll have probably an IP tool in place. And they may have even spoken to Pat up in the past and be aware of us. So, going into them is different. But when you're looking at SMEs, startups, the value proposition is different when you're reaching out to them. But it's also important to consider, how are you allocating your time to reaching out to these companies? You really want to be focusing on companies that are going to have, a positive ROI when using PatSnap or investing in our tool. So patent filing. How often do they patent? Have they patented much? How large is their portfolio? The larger the portfolio, the harder it is to manage those patents. So having a tool to support them internally to do this is, going to be important. Patented over the last 3 to 5 years, maybe IP just isn't part of their strategy anymore. Maybe, but the flip side is that maybe they are using trade secrets and they just don't want to reveal their IP. It's a little bit risky though. Where are they filing patents? So in developed countries, it's more expensive to file patents. So for Germany, to protect your R&D is going to cost more than in India, for instance. Value of the patent. So this is only a ballpark figure, and it's subjective versus objective, because sometimes some particular technology is valuable in other countries than in other countries. So for instance, maybe protecting some IP for some motorbikes in Vietnam would be more valuable than protecting IP for motorbikes in, I don't know, the UK, for instance, because motorbikes are just used way more in Vietnam. How dynamic is the space? More static spaces. Where innovation is less intense, it's less competitive. The value that they're going to get from PatSnap is going to be less than an emerging technology space where there's a lot of innovation. Patent filings are quick and it's hard to understand, the prior art. So these are important things to consider. So thank you so much for listening to this part of the exercise, going through analytics and finding out a couple ways to find leads and how to validate quality of those leads. Maybe just one thing is, looking at the patent valuations, you can do it by selecting here and you can see the patent valuation here. So you could bin it if you don't want it, but alternatively, I think it's a good way of understanding the value of roughly what the value of that patent is. So I spoke to a small startup, actually a startup, about 10 years old company, but they were just understanding how that they can use their patent filings in the past better. And I said, you got a couple patents worth over 1.5 million, and he's really surprised by that. And we've really piqued his curiosity. So whilst it's not the be all and end all for a patent, its valuation, it's a good estimate to supporting the valuation, how much that patent's worth. So thanks so much for this part of the for listening to this part, and next we're going to discovery.